Hey guys, so the development in the Kawhi story today, I'm sure you've seen it by now. ESPN, and only ESPN by the way, nobody else has reported this, drops an article saying basically the Clippers got off pretty much scot-free. The NBA bowed down to the billionaires, they bowed down to Steve Ballmer, and that's it. Adam Silver is a joke. Well, that's not the wording that they use, but it's the one that I would use. But then the NBA spokesperson comes out 30 minutes later saying, no, actually, investigation's not done. There's inaccuracies in the article and all that stuff. And once again, I will say, only ESPN has reported this. Nobody else has. Any other publication at the time of me doing this is article about this. So we're saying CBS Sports, The Athletic, and by proxy, the New York Times. Their article just says that ESPN put out a report and the NBA pushed back on it. Now, to be clear, I do not think very highly of Adam Silver right now. And so it would not surprise me at all if this still ended up being the outcome. Also, this whole idea of the NBA and the Clippers are negotiating an outcome, what the hell is that? They circumvented the cap, bro. What are we negotiating for? I mean, I know what it is. It's because they want to not get into legal stuff with Steve Ballmer, but it's like Steve Ballmer can go F himself. And also, if I may, if the only way to quote unquote prove cap circumvention is for it to be the Joe Smith situation, where there was literal writing that said this is our plan, then it's way too easy to circumvent the salary cap. Speaking of which, we'll see if the Bucks get dinged for the Gary Trent Jr. contract. If a guy's name being written all over the team's sponsorships for sponsors that he didn't actually uphold his end of the bargain for isn't circumvention, then what the hell is? This is very different than team just introduces guy to sponsor and then backs out of it. And in case it wasn't obvious where I stand on this thing, I think the hammer should be dropped on the Clippers. I think if it isn't, and you don't take away a whole bunch of draft picks and you don't have a huge fine, and I mean, I would be okay with Steve Ballmer being forced to sell the team, but I don't think that one would actually happen. If it doesn't happen, then you're just sending a message to the rest of the league of yeah, you guys can just do whatever you want.
It looks like a report about the NBA investigation into the Clippers, but actually, it is Steve Ballmer using the media to pressure Adam Silver into doing what he wants. All you have to do is ask yourself, who leaked this? First off, the writers include Baxter Holmes and Ramona Shelburne, two LA-based reporters who are close to the Clips. Second, the info is from a meeting that the Clippers had privately with the NBA, where the league laid out what the investigation found about a month ago. So it came from the Clippers or the NBA. But then the NBA admitted it. They were like, this ESPN article, for which the NBA declined to cooperate, by the way, contains numerous and significant inaccuracies. So these came from the Clippers. But why? Well, the report says, first sentence, the NBA has found no evidence showing the LA Clippers owner Steve Ballmer funneled money through team sponsors to pay Kawhi Leonard in order to circumvent the salary cap, period. That's it. So Ballmer is like, then what are we doing here? If you found no evidence, wrap it up and let me complete my Kawhi trade to the Raptors. Because remember, the Clips agreed to a deal sending the Raptors Kawhi in exchange for Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, control of 3 first-round picks in 2 seconds. That is a gigantic haul for old, banged-up Kawhi. No, he came off a great year. But every day that goes by, that package is in danger of falling apart or becoming less. So Ballmer is freaking out behind the scenes, what is taking this so long? Likely leaked this to force the NBA's hand. But then they say, not so fast. The report also says the investigation is now focused on something else. The league is examining whether the Clippers are guilty of failure to supervise employees, though it's unclear what specific rule the team would have violated or what the penalties would be, 2 of the sources said, which is hilarious. NBA teams are absolutely allowed to introduce players to sponsors, and failure to supervise, that's not even an NBA rule. ESPN even says, the NBA is not even sure what rule this violates. That obviously came straight from the Clippers. So Adam Silver knows they're guilty, but knows he can't do nothing, so he's inventing a rule to punish them. And Ballmer is pissed. He's like, hell no, I want complete exoneration, leaking this info to basically force the NBA to move now.
There's a very real chance that Steve Ballmer emerges relatively unscathed.
The NBA has found no evidence showing Clippers owner Steve Ballmer funneled money through team sponsors to pay Kawhi Leonard in order to circumvent the salary cap.
For 11 months, people have been telling you what was about to happen to the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi Leonard's $50 million contract was going to get voided, gone. Stephen A. Smith stood on national television and said a year-long ban should be entertained.
Adam Silver is going to have to come down with a heavy hand, and I'm talking about banishment for at least a year.
People compare this to the Joe Smith case. 5 first-round picks were taken away from a team, an owner was suspended, and this was supposed to potentially be the minimum baseline for what was coming because that was Joe Smith. And this is Kawhi Leonard, a top 10 player in the NBA today, and a future Hall of Famer. One insider even speculated that 3 first-round picks could be taken away from the Clippers and a fine north of $30 million. Bill Simmons told his audience last December to get ready for a holiday news drop on the Ballmer punishment. And this week, after almost a year of investigating, here's the running total of punishments, suspensions, voided contracts, and forfeited first-round picks. Are you ready for this? 0! Absolutely freaking nothing! According to ESPN sources, the NBA has no evidence that Steve Ballmer funneled money to Kawhi Leonard through team sponsors. No evidence. The investigation that the entire NBA was waiting on is now officially over. And I am not gonna lie, I am baffled. I am flabbergasted. I am so surprised at this, but at the same time, given how this investigation has gone so far, I am not surprised because this has pretty much been the status quo of the Adam Silver era.
Well, damn. They got away with it. Yup. They got away with it. They got away with it. The NBA is not going to step in and do anything about it. Despite all the evidence of the whole entire salary cap scandal that's been going on between Kawhi Leonard and Inspiration, Steve Ballmer lending them some money, along with lending Kawhi Leonard some money, going like against the rules of the whole entire salary cap or anything else. Despite all the evidence, it's right there in front of them, right in front of the NBA. They can easily punish them, just like what David Stern did with the Timberwolves. Adam Silver, Adam Silver just gave him a slap on the wrist, like, oh, you walk free. We have no evidence. Wow. I'm actually kind of surprised about this, but at the same time, I am a little bit because I thought they was going to get him some punishment, maybe not like, oh, ban Kawhi Leonard from the league or something like that, or take away the draft pay, maybe give like a slap on the wrist with a fine, whatever. But no punishment. Despite all the evidence that's right in front of them, Ballmer, the Los Angeles Clippers, and Kawhi, they all walk away scot-free like there's no tomorrow. Or is it? Not sure. But anyways, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Antoine here, and welcome back! We're back with another video on the channel. In today's video, we're here to do another random talk video on this channel. In today's video, we're going to be randomly talking about this whole entire news that just broke down, I think, yesterday on August 17th of 2026. I'm recording this on a Tuesday on August 18th of 2026. So around August 17th of 2026, it was announced that, according to ESPN, quote unquote, that they found that the NBA has found no evidence of Kawhi Leonard and this whole Steve Ballmer, scandal that's happened prior to last year, 2025, like around fall of 2025. They found no evidence or whatever, and basically the whole entire trade that has been vetoed, where Kawhi goes to the Toronto Raptors, and the Clippers receive Brandon Ingram and many other picks and everybody else. That has been vetoed because the whole entire investigation was still going around the time. Well, it looks like potentially, based off of this, it looks like the investigation is It's looked like it's potentially officially over. Well, I said potentially. We'll get to that later on. And it looks like Kawhi Leonard's going back to the team that he won the championship to, which is Toronto Raptors. He won it back in 2019, of course. And it looks like the Clippers are going into this rebuilding, building up the young core once again, or rebuilding, or basically, trying to be younger and focus on try to rebuild it from there and all this type of stuff, whatever. Now that this investigation is kind of over, I'm assuming, based off of this. Now, it hasn't been officially been confirmed by Adam Silver or whatever, by the NBA commissioner or whatever, that they see all the investigation, whatever. We weren't sure about it, but based off of this and based off the report that ESPN, which by the way, ESPN only reported this, no outlet, no other journalists, nobody else report this, not no news reporters, no other journalists not report this. ESPN and its ESPN, journalist people report this, saying that they are that there's no evidence between Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer and this whole entire expiration, scandal thing that happened, resulting of them being scot free from what it looks like. And now that they're technically scot free, the trade is now can move on, because the trade between Kawhi Leonard going to the Toronto Raptors and the Los Angeles Clippers receiving some picks or whatever, it has been vetoed. It was like, it's not been vetoed, but it has been like postponed because the investigation has been going on, and they'll have to wait until the whole entire investigation has been like solved or whatever, see the result of what's happening. And based on the ESPN reports, which by the way, like I said before, no other outlet, no other reports of anybody that literally have stated this whole entire thing. No other outlet, no other journalists have stated this whole entire thing. Only ESPN reporters have stated that they found no evidence of Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer doing this whole inspirational, scandal, whatever. Despite numerous evidence that Pablo Torres, was shout out to him, he made numerous evidence that Kawhi Leonard had been getting money under the table by doing absolutely nothing with the whole entire inspirational thing, along with Steve Ballmer, putting money into the inspiration thing to get Kawhi Leonard some more money into the salary cap, knowing there's amount of evidence here and there that they did this. And with Steve Ballmer's reaction of them conning me or whatever, it looks like they was going to be in trouble for all this. But Adam Silver being Adam Silver, he'll give a slap on the wrist and let the motherfuckers go. That's what it looks like from here. And it's crazy, because the last time I saw Adam Silver actually took a stand on some shit that was like hurting the league, was literally when that owner, before Steve Ballmer took over, there was like a former Clipper owner. I forgot what the person name was. He made racist marks towards people and everything else, to a point where it put a bad taste into the mouth of the NBA league, which forced him to sell the team, and the Los Angeles Clippers players wasn't having it. And then of course he had to sell the team, and then Ballmer had to step in to take over with the team. And now we're seeing the whole same we're seeing like the legit another problem with the Los Angeles Clippers, with the whole entire inspiration scandal and everything else. But for some of you guys who have not been catching up with everything that I've been talking about, I talked about this last year, in 2025. I said September 5th, I believe, of 2025, around the fall before the NBA season started, like a month from now. There was a report that went on that Pablo Torres, who went on his podcast, or went on a radio show, he was investigating Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, one of the richest men in the world, one of the top 10 richest men in the world, investigating the whole entire, the inspirational scandal thing. Now, inspirational was supposed to be like this: plant the trees, grow trees or whatever, all type of stuff. And Pablo Torres basically indicate that, Kawhi Leonard was getting money under the table by doing absolutely nothing. He was basically, he was basically sponsored by the Aspirational Group, but he wasn't doing absolutely nothing. Yeah, he was still getting money on the table. He didn't show up to no events, no retweets, no posts, none of that. All he had to do was just be partners with them, and he get some money, some confiscations with some money, like at least around like $20-something million, which is illegal because that's going over the salary cap and everything else. You can't do that. Steve Ballmer, of course, is involved in this too as well, because obviously, allegedly, he put in at least around $50-something million to the aspirational people, along with other celebrities and all type of stuff, to basically try to quote unquote plant trees. But really, it was just another way to keep Kawhi Leonard in Los Angeles Clippers by giving him some more money and all of that. Pablo Torres explained everything, all the proof and all that. It's right there, run for your faces. But unfortunately, the NBA aka Al Silver is basically allowing him to go scot free or whatever, and all the type of stuff, which will raise a lot of question, like why would Al Silver do this and all that type of stuff. So it doesn't make any sense. My guess here is the reason why he probably allowed, like my guess here is the reason why the Adam Silver allowed the no evidence, allow Kawhi Leonard and this trade to go through along with Steve Ballmer and Kawhi go scot free with no punishment. I think the reason why they did this is because obviously he didn't want to get in no legal trouble, because who's to say that there aren't any other NBA owners aren't doing the same thing, throwing money under the table. The only difference between the NBA owners and Steve Ballmer is that, well, Steve Ballmer got caught with it, and Pablo Torres investigate the whole shit. He's been doing it 2 years. He's been doing it for straight, like 2 years straight prior to this shit. So he's been dedicated to this whole thing. The other NBA owners probably doing the same thing. We don't know that for sure, but I can tell you right now, based off of this, I'm pretty sure that there are probably some NBA owners that do have or that are doing this under the table. However, they have not been caught yet. They have not been caught. But Steve Ballmer has been caught because Pablo Torres has been investigating them, and obviously is very clearly that he did this. It's obviously he's lending Kawhi Leonard some money under the salary cap, which is illegal. You shouldn't do that. Even though, yes, it's not technically written down like the whole entire David Stern and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Well, Joe Smith and the owner and the GM were talking about, hey, listen, we're going to give you this money, this amount of money if you sign this and that. We'll write it down, and then once you get your bird right, whatever, we'll give you the money and all this sensitive, whatever the extra money you can like get full guarantee. They willingly let Joe Smith to take a pay cut, take a huge amount of pay cut, in order to eventually give him more money as time goes on. You know what I'm saying? Because they really couldn't afford Joe Smith at the time too as well. But they figured when Barker chipped his ass, they basically give him less money to play for the Minnesota Timberwolves. David Stern found out about that shit. He found out all the plans and everything else. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves got bent over a fuck by David Stern, belt to the ass, and got punished with the draft picks, suspension from the owner and GM, and Joe Smith got completely banned, like not banned, but like he got completely like kicked out of the Minnesota Timberwolves because of that shit. And now to seeing the whole situation right here, except that there's like blatant proof that literally Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard has been throwing money under the table and everything else. I mean, literally Kawhi Leonard hasn't done nothing with the inspirational thing. Like that's one right there. And two, Steve Ballmer letting them money. He openly admitted that when he went on to talk to one ESPN reporters. I forgot her name was, but she white and whatever. And obviously he lended him some money or whatever, and then obviously he said he quote unquote never thought that it'd be a scandal, whatever. When in reality, the guy who literally was doing the whole scandal stuff is sentenced to like 16 years in prison for doing this whole scandal shit, like fraud or whatever. And he was like the owner of the whole entire inspirational shit. So with that being said, he probably has something to do with whatever that's going on. And on top of that, too, as well, Kawhi Leonard hasn't done a damn thing, a single thing of planting trees. He literally just got the money and just did absolutely nothing and just dipped and walked away and just played basketball. And Steve Ballmer lending them money on top of that, too, as well, along with other celebrities. Again, Steve Ballmer probably has something to do with this, but whatever. I don't know, man. I'm still debating on whether this is true or this is not true, because there are some reports like saying that like ESPN basically saying that there's no evidence that Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard did this whole entire inspirational shit. Meanwhile, the commissioner or not the commissioner, but some NBA PA whatever for the Players Association saying that the report that ESPN is saying is not true, but based off of what I'm seeing right here from ESPN, that is really closer to the NBA. In some sort of way, it looks like Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer more letting them go scot free, which it looks like it's going to be that way. But let me show you the whole entire ESPN reports and read all the details and everything down there. Now, according to here on ESPN's, Twitter, obviously this is their Twitter and all this other type of stuff, X, whatever you want to call it. According to ESPN, the NBA has found no evidence that the Clippers owner Steve Ballmer funded money through the team sponsors to pay Kawhi Leonard and circumvent the salary cap. Sources told by Devian Jr., Baxter, and Ramona, whatever her name is. Basically, these are the journalists that literally made the report stating that there's no evidence that Steve Ballmer funded the money through the sponsors to pay Kawhi Leonard, basically under any circumstances to like fuck up the salary cap. Basically, according to the sources of ESPN and all this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you would think that, oh wow, so they found no evidence, all that type of stuff. So I guess Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer will like run scot free. However, ESPN got community noted on Twitter, which and on Twitter X, whatever, which raised a lot of question on this. Because once you see the community note right here, this is what the community note is on Twitter/X. When ESPN made that statement, according to the sources, whatever, they got community noted, of course, by Twitter/X. And the community note stated right here, read it at context here. It says the following: the NBA released a statement dispute the ESPN report stating it contains numerous and significant inaccuracies, and that the result will be clear once the NBA once the investigation is concluded. Meaning that this report that ESPN posted on Twitter and the reporters, the ESPN journalists that report this whole thing is basically not true, not false. It's not true. It's false. We're still like investigating this or whatever, and we're trying to clear this whole thing up once the investigation is concluded. Like it's still going on. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, ESPN made the tweet, right, but yet they got community noted because the NBA released a statement disputing the whole entire ESPN report, meaning that the NBA doesn't believe that the report that the ESPN is saying is not true. But they are going through with this trade with Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers, so what the hell? And ESPN is the only one to report this. There aren't that many other reports too as well, which raised a lot of eyebrows and cooler myself, but there's more to this. So this is the NBA communication, Twitter, X/X, post, whatever. The NBA spokesperson, Mike Bass, he said this, and I quote, ESPN's article regarding the LA Clippers investigation, for which the NBA declined to cooperate, contains numerous and significant inaccuracies. The results in this matter will be made clear once the investigation is concluded. Basically, based off of this tweet right here, they're basically saying that we're still investigating this whole entire thing, but we're trying to come to a conclusion of based off of everything that's going on. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this to me just basically saying that hey, they basically found no evidence and they're gonna let them go walk. They're gonna let Ballmer and of course Kawhi let him walk like scot free. And of course the LA Clippers, Twitter post, they made a statement on regardless of the whole entire situation, basically concluded that they saw nothing wrong with this whole entire situation between Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard, aspirations, type of scandal that's been going on and everything else. And I have a feeling that Adam Silver, just my prediction here, that Adam Silver is going to allow this whole thing happen and let them walk scot free or whatever, and everything else, and we're all just gonna have to deal with it and move on. I have a feeling that's gonna happen because let's be real here, Adam Silver don't have a fucking inch of balls in his fucking crotch, and he won't do anything about this whole entire situation. He hasn't really done much great since becoming a commissioner anyway. He's allowing gambling into this whole entire realm of NBA, which ruining the league, in my personal opinion, because you got players fucking throwing games while trying to get some gambling money or something like that shit too as well. And then on top of that too as well, you got too many fucking channels they have freaking where you need to watch games or whatever, and him making bullshit statements like you can always watch it on YouTube, whatever, when in reality there has been NBA games you can watch it on regular television. But I digress on that one. And now you got this situation that's been going on, and has been going on since last year of September. Yes, this was going on since last year of September. This has been 11 months investigation, yet I have a feeling, despite all of this, the proof that Pablo Torres has done is going to be concluded. It's going to be thrown out the window, and Adam Silver is going to be like, you know what? Despite everything you said about Pablo Torres, fuck you and your proof. Yeah, it's getting thrown out the way. Kawhi Leonard, you go into Toronto Raptors. Steve Ballmer, you're scot free. You can get whatever you or your young core and start rebuilding whatever you got to do. And you're free too, as well. On top of that, too, as well, and you'll be confiscated. Oh, and by the way, I would love to have $100 million on top of it too, as well, for me confiscating. Thank you very much. Like it's very clear, you know what I'm saying. And also, I'm kind of not surprised about this for real, because like I said, Adam Silver, he's a terrible commissioner. He's not really good at his job, and he should be fired, in my personal opinion. And because he doesn't have a balls or fucking cojones or no backbone to make a stance on this shit. Because if David Stern was here, he would have punished the fuck out of the whole entire Clippers organization. He would literally go back and look back at his book of all the punishment he has done in the league. He'd be looking at this like, the Minnesota Timberwolves back around the early 2000s. Oh, I remember. I punished them for what they did, the whole entire scandal thing. Maybe I should do the same thing. And that's what David Stern would have done. He would have literally done the same thing and das boot the fucking LA Clippers and get Kawhi Leonard a punishment. I love Kawhi Leonard. He's one of my favorite defensive players of all time. And to me, he's one of the greatest defensive players of all time. He's like top 5, top 10 in my personal opinion, a defensive player. But his shadiness and what he is doing, along with top of Steve Ballmer and his shadiness of what he's doing, and yes, he is a billionaire. He's like a top 10 billionaire, like the most money making billionaire in the world. I am aware of that. But him doing that shadiness shit, you know what I'm saying, Steve Ballmer doing that shit is beyond kind of like destroying the LA Clippers reputation, along with Kawhi Leonard and his stinks and his going there, like it's beyond all bad shit of all bad shit. And honestly, I'm not surprised about how bad the LA Clippers has been doing ever since Kawhi Leonard has been going there, because they had a roster, they had a rebuilding process, and they decided to trade away from Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, resulted of SGA being an NBA champion for the OKC Thunder. They had a roster and they blew it, but that's nor here, that's nor there. Yeah, this is pretty much it. Like honestly, this is no surprise to me about this whole entire thing, and Alan Silver's going to throw this and throw this in the gutter basically, and they're basically going to allow Kawhi Leonard go scot free and allow Steve Ballmer go scot free. And this also, to me, in this statement, is also proof that that you can basically do whatever the fuck you want basically out of this. You could gamble, get away with it, and you could go throw it on the table without getting caught. You can cheat. You can do whatever you want, do whatever it takes. You can even do some scandal shit, some sponsor stuff like the LA Clippers have done, and throw some money on the table for your players. Keep it quiet and just get away with it. And granted, LA Clippers are not the only team that's done this. There's probably plenty of teams that have done this before. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, Minnesota Timberwolves have done this before. But however, they got caught written down in the statement. LA Clippers have done the same thing, but they haven't written things down or planning on what they're going to do with Kawhi Leonard. But there's so many evidence that Pablo Torres has done, and yet they are still getting patted in the back like it's nothing. Yeah, that concludes everything. You know what I'm saying? And based off of the spokesperson named Mike Boss, he talked about like the result on this matter will be made clear once the investigation is concluded. I mean, are we going to get a statement from Adam Silver? I mean, at this point, I'm just waiting for Adam Silver to make a statement. Like, are they still doing this whole investigation stuff, or are they shutting this whole thing down and just moving on? Because at this point, like I said, I talked about this last year of 2025, September 5th of 2025. I'll link the whole entire video if you want to go watch that. I talked about the whole scandal stuff that happened, and let's just say this whole entire thing has been a complete mess. Honestly, it's like. It's been a complete mess, and there was some evidence that was going towards, Pablo's way and everything else, and all Alex had to do is punish them for it to make an example of why you should never do this shit. But nope, basically they're going to allow this whole trade happening with Kawhi going to the Toronto Raptors, which will be interesting for the Eastern Conference. And it's going to make the Eastern Conference, completely stack it way more better. Honestly, it'll be really good. But the Clippers, they're going to rebuild and do what they got to do without no punishment, in regards of the whole entire thing. Honestly, I don't know what to say, man. This is beyond, not be shocking to me, but at the same time, it's like at least give them some punishment, a fine, some draft picks, maybe someone gets suspended, but no, instead you can basically do whatever the fuck you want. You can cheat, you can fuck over the salary cap you want to, and basically lend money on the table of your favorite players that want to stay on the team, whatever. I mean, honestly, man, from the moment that I always say this too as well, I think there were signs to this too as well that that Adam Silver should look into, and many of the NBA, investigations should look into. That like Kawhi's uncle Dennis, dude, he gotta be investigated too as well. Like the dude literally has stated that, listen, I want ownership, I want all of this and that, while he was trying to go do it with the Lakers and then fucking Toronto and all this. Who's to say that he probably got some confiscating money from the inspiration shit from the whole inspirational stuff. So like, I don't know, man. This whole entire thing has been a complete mess, and honestly, man, it sucks that nobody's getting punishment out of this whole entire thing, and it looks like it's completely over based off of this. You know what I'm saying? Because here's my prediction: what's going to happen? Al Silver, he's going to make a statement saying this and that, be bop shit, and this robot AI shit. And he's going to basically say, yeah, we found nothing. And Kawhi Leonard, you're scot free. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Based off of this. And it's going to conclude everything about the investigation and everybody just go up their separate race. And yeah, it's unfortunate. Basically, if you're an NBA owner, you can basically do whatever you want. Just don't get caught like Steve Ballmer did, whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I ain't got nothing to say about this whole entire situation, whatever. I mean, y'all let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about this whole entire conclusion of this potential investigation. Because as far as I'm concerned, this might be over. Hopefully I am wrong. Hopefully Al Silver might take a stance on this and maybe say it's not over. We're still investigating this whole entire stuff. We're seeing and waiting the punishment. But unfortunately, based off of this, it looks like they're gonna walk scot free, and it's all she wrote. And yeah, I don't know what to say about this. It's it's pretty much done deal at this point, unless Adam Silver, and unless it's Mike Baggs, ABA spokesperson, saying that we're still doing this, still come to conclusion. Adam Silver's going to lay the hammer down, but I have a feeling that this is not going to happen because Steve Ballmer, let's be real, he is a multi-billionaire. In fact, he's a billionaire. He's one of the top 10 richest people in the world. I have a feeling that if Adam Silver does take action against this, he might take to the court, sue Adam Silver in the NBA. And then it's going to open a whole can of worms of like, okay, if I'm doing this whole entire scandal stuff, who's to say not any other NBA owners not doing the same thing? So it's like, yeah, you take me down, but I'm taking the whole entire ship down with me. That's what probably Steve Ballmer's thinking. So he's powerful, and I'm assuming just say fuck it, let's put you free and move on. And that's what it looked like is happening here. And that's just my guess here, man. But y'all let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about this whole entire Kawhi Leonard and Steve Ballmer scandal thing. But yeah, I mean, I ain't got nothing to say about this, man. That's pretty much it. I ain't got nothing to say. Thank y'all for watching. And as always, take care, I'm out. Peace.